Twitter and at Howard Dean. Just use the hashtag this week.
At Governor Howard Dean.
At Governor Howard.
No, G-O-V Howard Dean.
And now.
Otherwise I'll go off into the...
3 moments from this week history. What year was it?
So help me God.
A new swing vote on the Supreme Court.
Judge and now Justice Kennedy. Sounds good.
It appears that Pan American Flight 103 was bombed. Terrorism.
270 killed over Lockerbie, Scotland. And the opening night for Broadway's longest-running show.
The Phantom is obviously far more an old-fashioned Broadway musical. I mean, it is very theatrical at the end of the day.
Was it 1986, 1987, or 1988? We'll be right back with the answer. So, what year was it? When did Justice Kennedy and Phantom of the Opera debut? 24 years ago, 1988. And finally, your voice this week. Today's question comes from Christy Johnson. How do you book guests, keep them from fighting before the shows begin, and decide timing and content? That is a good question, Christy. We look for experienced, well-informed, and insightful analysts, people with strong opinions who aren't afraid to mix it up. As for timing and content, that's determined mostly by the week's events. By the end of the roundtable, I hope everyone watching has a good handle on what happened in politics that week and what to look for in the week ahead. And just a reminder, you can ask me questions all week long on Twitter at GStephanopoulos and also on Facebook. That's all for us today. Thanks for sharing part of your Sunday with us. Check out World News with David Muir tonight and tune in Wednesday for special coverage of One-on-One, the candidates debate, beginning at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific. I'll see you tomorrow on GMA.
When breaking news changes the world in an instant, ABC News. Accurate, credible, unmatched. On television, radio, and the internet. This is ABC News.
Good morning and welcome to This Week. Romney rebounds.
You're entitled to president of your own airplane and your own house, but not your own facts. Virtually everything he just said about my tax plan is inaccurate.
A big debate win re-energizes his campaign.
I enjoyed that debate a couple of nights ago. That was a great experience.
And knocks the president on his heels.
4 years ago, I said that I'm not a perfect man and I wouldn't be a perfect president. And that's probably a promise that Governor Romney thinks I've kept.
Now, 1 month before Election Day, the big questions. Can Governor Romney double down on his debate win and take control of this race? And will Friday's surprisingly strong jobs report
The unemployment rate has fallen to its lowest level since I took office.
stop his momentum? We'll have top advisors to both candidates. Robert Gibbs for Obama, Ed Gillespie for Romney. Then insight and analysis on our Powerhouse Roundtable with our favorite political odd couple, James Carville and Mary Matlin. Plus Nobel Prize winner Paul Krugman of the New York Times, Peggy Noonan from the Wall Street Journal, and ABC's Jonathan Karl. Then,
and what would you like for Christmas, little boy? Yeah.
The week's other political slugfest. Bill O'Reilly joins us live this morning.
From ABC News, This Week with George Stephanopoulos. It's your voice, your vote. Reporting from ABC News Election Headquarters, George Stephanopoulos.
Hello again. Just 30 days now until the final votes, and after the most intense week yet of this campaign, Mitt Romney has momentum. National polls show him gaining ground. His crowds have picked up, and last night in Florida, Romney opened up, telling about his last visit with an old friend paralyzed in a tragic accident.
They pushed his wheelchair forward, and he came up, and I reached over and put my arm on his shoulder, and I whispered into his ear. And I said, Billy, I love you, and God bless you. I got a call from a friend that he died the next day after that visit. It's rare that you get the chance to tell someone how much you love them when you still can.
Can Romney keep gaining ground, or will President Obama maintain his advantage in those battleground states that matter most? We'll look at the race from all angles this morning, and we begin with the campaigns. Ed Gillespie for Mitt Romney, Robert Gibbs for Barack Obama. And Robert, let me begin with you. How much difference did Governor Romney make Wednesday night?
Well, look, George, I think Governor Romney had a masterful theatrical performance just this past week, but the underpinnings and foundation of that performance were fundamentally dishonest. Look, he walked away from the central tenet of his economic theory by saying he had no idea what the president was talking about. 10 minutes after the debate, even his own staff is walking back his answers on health care and pre-existing conditions. So, look, I don't want to take anything away from what I think, again, was a masterful performance by Governor Romney, but I don't think Governor Romney's positions have changed, and fundamentally, I don't think the campaign has changed.
But Robert, what happened to the president on Wednesday? Now, you've seen all the reviews. I'm sure the president has seen the reviews by now as well. The basic line is the president didn't show up on Wednesday night. And I just want to know, when did he know he was beat?
Well, look, George, I think the president understood that he hadn't performed up to his own expectations pretty quickly after he got off the stage that night. But look, George, I think what's interesting is not. I think it's who showed up on the Republican side. A clone that looked a lot like Mitt Romney that had walked away from fundamentally every position that he'd taken. You cannot cut taxes by $5 trillion as he's doing and simply say, "Oh, I don't have that tax cut. I'm not going to cut taxes for the wealthy," when the average high-income earner is going to get a $250,000 tax.
Let me stop you right there, because the Romney campaign has a new ad out just on that point. They say the president and his team are lying when they call it a $5 trillion tax cut.
President Obama continues to distort Mitt Romney's economic plan. The latest, not telling the truth about Mitt Romney's tax plan. The AP says doesn't add up. ABC News, mostly fiction. Even the Obama campaign admitted it wasn't true.
Well, okay, stipulated. It won't be near $5 trillion.
So does the campaign now accept that the cuts will be less than $5 trillion?
No, absolutely not. I mean, look, if you're going to reduce the Bush tax rates by 20%, in the estate tax, in the AMT, change the corporate rate, and a whole host of other changes, that adds up in a reduction of revenue of $4.8 trillion. The question for Governor Romney is, what loopholes are you going to close, supposedly, to make up for that revenue? And if you don't close $4.8 trillion in those loopholes, two things happen. Either the deficit goes up, or more likely is the middle class is going to see their taxes go up and end up paying for his promise.
As you know, Robert, he's stating unequivocally that he will not push the tax cuts if they increase the deficit, and that he will not push them if they force tax increases in the middle class.
Well, then he has. Then he's got no economic theory. Then he's walked away from 18 months of what this whole campaign's been about. But George, we've seen this movie before, where people say, "Oh, don't worry, it's all going to get paid for. It's fine." When you ask him, "What loopholes will you close specifically for wealthy earners to help pay for the $4.8 trillion in reduced revenue?" There's no answer. I mean, let's be clear. Paul Ryan a week ago was asked about the math for this, and Paul Ryan said, "Look, the math takes too long." Well, Mitt Romney's solution is he just decided there wasn't math involved in this problem, and that's absolutely crazy. Look, the only thing he outlined that he would cut in the budget is Big Bird. He's taken the battle straight to Sesame Street and let Wall Street run hog wild. I mean, it was a masterful theatrical performance. It was fundamentally dishonest for the American people, and let's be clear, if you're willing to say anything to get elected president, if you're willing to make up your positions and walk away from them, I think the American people have to understand, how can they trust you if you are elected president?
Let's look ahead to the vice presidential debate this week, Joe Biden coming up. He kind of stepped in it a little bit this week with the comment about the middle class being buried the last 4 years.
How they can justify raising taxes in the middle class has been buried the last 4 years. How in Lord's name can they justify raising their taxes in these tax cuts?
Two questions. Is there more pressure on the vice president now to be aggressive coming off the president's debate? And are you worried about gaps like that?
Well, look, I don't think that was a gap, George, because I think what the vice president was talking about is what he's talked about every day, which is a series of 8 years of
he said they were buried the last 4 years.
Well, we've been digging out from what was an avalanche of bad economic decisions over the past 8 years during the Bush administration. And what Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan want to do is take us back to that exact same failed economic theory. Top-down tax cuts, eviscerating the investments we know we need to grow our economy from the middle out rather than from the top down. I know Vice President Biden. I know he's looking forward to having a spirited exchange about ideas. I simply hope this. I hope what Paul Ryan does is something fundamentally different than what Mitt Romney does, and that is, I hope he comes with just a modicum of truth and willing to defend their policies rather than to admit somehow they don't exist.
And finally, will we see a different game from President Obama in this debate?
Well, again, I think now that Barack Obama's had the opportunity to meet both Mitt Romneys, I don't doubt that he'll make some adjustments. I know he's looking forward to the next debate.
Robert Gibbs, thanks very much for your time this morning.
George, thanks for having me.
We'll be right back. Welcome back to This Week. I'm George Stephanopoulos. Let's hear from the Romney camp right now. Ed Gillespie joining us this morning. Ed, thanks for getting up this morning. You heard Robert right there. Masterful, theatrical, fundamentally dishonest. I guess his basic point now about Governor Romney and his tax plan is either that he's not telling the truth about the scale of the tax plan or abandoning his economic theory. Which one is it?
Well, the problem they have is that the debate's performance on Wednesday evening is not a matter of style, it was a matter of substance. And Governor Romney laid out a plan for turning this economy around, getting things moving again. He had a fact-based critique of President Obama's failed policies that the president was unable to respond to. And today, and since then, the Obama campaign, they remind me a little bit of a 7-year-old losing a checker game, and then instead of being frustrated at the outcome, they sweep the board off the table. The fact is that if President Obama is reelected, as Governor Romney pointed out, we're going to have continued chronically high unemployment. We're going to have continued massive debt instead of moving toward a balanced budget. We've had this week the $4 trillion deficit under this president. Healthcare premiums are going to continue to rise. Up to 20 million Americans will lose their employer-based health insurance under Obamacare, and they'll raise $716 billion from Medicare. Governor Romney has a different approach that will move this country in the right direction, and that's what they're frustrated about, George.
Let's talk about that approach. Let's get to the bottom of this $5 trillion disagreement. Governor Romney is now saying he will not increase the deficit with his tax cuts. He is saying he will not increase taxes on the middle class. So is he saying that if he cannot come up with enough loopholes and deductions, closing of deductions, to pay for the tax cuts, which amount to about $5 trillion, that he will scale them back?
What he said, George, is that he is going to cut tax rates across the board by 20% and offset those cuts with eliminating deductions and loopholes for the upper income families, protecting employability for middle-class families. You can pay for it. There are 6 studies that say that you can do that. You can broaden the base and lower the rates. That would foster economic growth. And we've done that in the past. There's one study that says that you can't, that uses the word assume or assumption 68 times by a liberal think tank, and that's what gives another point to
Let me just pin you down on the fallout. If it does turn out that the deductions do not make up for the cost of the tax cuts, does Governor Romney say that he will scale back the tax cuts?
Here's what he said is that it's going to be, he's not going to increase the deficit in bringing down the rates and broadening.
So he will scale back the tax cuts.
We saw that done, by the way, as you know, when Tip O'Neill was the Speaker of the House and Ronald Reagan was the President of the United States, and they worked together on a very important and significant tax reform. We believe that it's time for that again, and that you can do that working across the aisle. Obviously, Governor Romney, if he becomes president, would hope to have Republican majorities in the House and the Senate, but you would have to work across the aisle, and we believe it can be done, and there are 6 studies that show that you can.
But the promise then that takes precedence, because I do want to move on, is the one about not increasing the deficit. You also heard Robert Gibbs there talk about Big Bird and the targeting of Big Bird by Governor Romney. You know, coming out of that, PBS cited polls showing that it's the most trusted public institution, and it only takes about 1/100th of 1% of the federal budget. You're not seeing Big Bird show up at Mitt Romney rallies. Was it a mistake to target him?
George, it wasn't a targeting. It was just pointing to one example. As you know, Governor Romney would move us toward a balanced budget with a 5% cut in non-security discretionary spending. He would eliminate a number of programs and consolidate a number of others. I think with Jim Laramie from PBS, he made the point in a joking reference, but it's an important point. Look, if you have to borrow money from China to pay for these programs, is it worth it? That's the test that should be applied. We're going to impose this debt on future generations. And Big Bird, I can tell you, as the father of 3 children grown now, but any father who's gone to a toy store knows that Big Bird is pretty commercially successful. And to me, whether or not we should be subsidizing it, and you can cite, it's not that big a percentage of the budget. That's true, but every penny that you look and raise as a potential cut seems to be sacred with this administration, and you can't cut it. And they demagogue it. And I think the American people understand this is a big election and a big choice. And you have to make some tough decisions, and you have to find some things where it's not worth borrowing money and imposing debt on future generations. Big Bird would be pretty successful, I suspect, without a government federal subsidy and all that debt.
Let's talk about Friday's jobs numbers. It raised some suspicions among Governor Romney's allies on Friday morning. Jack Welch, the former chairman of GE, put out a tweet saying, "Unbelievable jobs numbers. These Chicago guys will do anything. Can't debate, so change numbers." Steve Forbes follows up and says, "Welch is right." Does Governor Romney put any stock in those theories? Does he have any suspicions at all about the BLS numbers?
George, the numbers themselves are very damning. When you look at it, we had fewer jobs created in September than were created in August, fewer jobs created in August than were created in July. Our unemployment rate has come down because since President Obama took office, for every new job created, more than 6 workers have left the labor force. If labor force participation was what it was when the president took office, unemployment would be around 10.7%. These jobs that were added in September were largely part-time jobs, so we still have 23 million Americans. That number has not changed at all, who are either unemployed or out of work entirely, or are underemployed, working, or out of the workforce entirely, or are underemployed, working part-time instead of full-time, or not in a job commensurate with their skills. Half of the college students coming out of, with degrees today are unable to find a job. This economy is not doing well, and the fact that you have a White House celebrating an unemployment rate of 7.8% with 23 million Americans out of work or unemployed or underemployed tells you a lot about the failure of this administration's policies, George.
Final question, bottom line, did Governor Romney do what he needed to do on Wednesday to take control of this race?
Well, I think there was certainly a shift in the dynamic. People saw the real Mitt Romney. I think that's why you saw the reviews. I know, George, that you thought it was a tie, but most other objective observers felt that Governor Romney did do a very good job of making the case for his policies, and that President Obama was unable to defend his past policies nor put forward a vision for future policies in the way Governor Romney did. But the most important thing is nearly 70 million Americans saw the real Mitt Romney, not what they've been seeing in 30-second attack ads or in 12-second snippets on the evening news. They got to see and take a measure of him, and I think they saw someone not only who could be president by virtue of his experience in being a leader with being able to reach across the aisle as governor of Massachusetts, but someone who has a plan to get this economy moving again, which the president clearly does not.
Actually, that's not what I said. You ought to take a look at the whole quote, but thanks a lot for coming in this morning.
You bet.
Now, at the roundtable, we are joined by Peggy Noonan of the Wall Street Journal, Nobel Prize-winning economist Paul Krugman of the New York Times, ABC's John Carl, and my favorite political hot couple, Mary Knapp and James Carville. And Peggy, let me begin with you. I want to focus on the debate right now. You could not have been tougher on President Obama's performance in your column yesterday.
Yeah, I thought the president barely showed. I thought the New Yorker cover, the now famous New Yorker cover in which they had a candidate, Romney, at a podium looking at the empty chair where Mr. Obama would have been, captured it all. I am very curious about what the heck happened. Was it a strategic mistake on the part of the Obama campaign to play it a certain way and it didn't work? Or were there other factors involved? To me, it is a mystery and one of those delicious things that will probably be answered in the big books about 2012. But yes, the president was bad, Romney was good.
Yeah, this is classic Obama. He really, really wants to be the president of national unity. He's always wanted to be the reconciliation candidate, and his instinct, always in confrontations, is to not to go for the jugular, but to go for the capillaries. He doesn't, and he did the same thing in 2008. People forget just how weak his campaign was through August of 2008, when he just was refusing to make the obvious case against McCain, and then he toughened up also.
In the debate, he toughened up in 2008.
Yeah. But Trump, because he needs to have his back against the wall. But this was classic. This was him. This was the real Obama, who does not like. He really wants to be a president of the whole nation, and he somehow has a hard time wrapping his mind around the necessity to take a tougher line.
Well, I said on CNN, I said I didn't want to come to this conclusion, but sitting there watching, I had to come to it. He just didn't want to be there.
So it wasn't strategy.
I don't think it was, and we're going to know the next debate. I mean, he's either got to be different or he's going to, it's going to be pretty bad. But it just looked like to me, he really didn't want to be there. His mind wasn't on it. He didn't want to engage. I hope, knock on wood, we're going to see a different President Obama at Hofstra here.
How could a president feel that way? I don't want to be there during a debate for the president.
When Reagan got lost on the Pacific Coast, I don't know. The answer is, I don't know, but that was the impression that I got.
You had President Obama going into that debate, winning ahead in every single battleground state. I mean, he looked to me like a guy that was running out the clock. He was ahead. Obviously, there was a strategic decision not to bring up Bain Capital, not to bring up the 47%.
We'll take a quick break right now. A lot more roundtable will come, including previewing the VP debate. Last time it inspired Saturday Night Live.
With Barack Obama, you're going to be paying higher taxes, but not with me and my fellow Maverick. We are not afraid to get Mavericky in there and rumble together and not got to allow that. And also to the great Ronald Reagan.
And later, this week's other big debate.
American foreign policy has been to go into the Middle East and try to buy friends. Does that ever work?
Yeah, we can buy friends.
I think it worked, yeah.
Bill O'Reilly live in our No Spin Zone.
John McCain has been dead wrong. I love him. As my mother would say, God love him, but he's been dead wrong on the fundamental issues relating to the conduct of the war.
I would like more opportunity for this. I like being able to answer these tough questions without the filter even of the mainstream media kind of telling viewers what they've just heard.
When no one in the United States Senate has been a better friend to Israel than Joe Biden.
I may not answer the questions the way that either the moderator or you want to hear, but I'm going to talk straight to the American people and let them know my track record also.
That was 4 years ago. Next VP debate is Thursday night. We're here on the Roundtable. Preview that in just a little bit. I'm joined again by Peggy Noonan, Paul Krugman, John Carl, Mary Matlin, and James Carville. And let's talk about the other big news of the week, those unemployment numbers that came out Friday. I got to say, Peggy, I was surprised. First thing Friday morning at GMA, the numbers come out. The first tweet you get is from Jack Welch raising a question about them. Ed Gillespie didn't bite, but what is that about?
Oh, it is about widespread skepticism towards the actions and efforts of the U.S. government to begin with. Second, I don't think anybody in America looks at the number, whether it's 8.2, 8.4, 7.7, and thinks that's a real reflection of reality. Everybody in America thinks they're not counting the number of people who stopped looking, the number of people who are underemployed. At that point, the 7.8 number almost becomes academic. Nobody has faith.
Well, we know it's a lousy labor market out there. It's not what you want to have. However, it is an improving labor market. And not because of 1 month's number, but, 1 month, this is the whole thing. Jack Welch, probably coming from the corporate world, he doesn't quite understand how hard it is to fudge government numbers. But if you look over the past year, which is what you should do, you should not, look at the numbers which found, there's a clear improvement.